Hello, thank you very much for coming to talkPOPc, Philosophers Ontological Party Club. My name is Dina Schottenkirk, and please introduce yourself.
My name is Christine König from Vienna.
Wonderful, thank you very much for coming. So the way this project works is it's very topic driven. And so I choose a topic to work on, and I make a book about that topic and a lot of artwork about that topic. And then we open up the topic to the rest of the world, and we take our tent and our puppet, and we go out into the world, and we set up, and we ask other people what they think about the topic. And so it's a kind of sort of consensus building about what everybody thinks about a particular thing. And so the topic that we're doing here in Salzburg in the gallery is art. And really art is cognition, but that can mean a lot of things. So one thing it means is, what do you think people get out of art? And or is art a kind of knowledge acquisition? Or why do you think people care so much about art? Or what do you get out of art, and what kind of art do you tend to really like? I know you like literature a lot, and so I thought you could talk about that, but then as a gallery dealer, you know a tremendous amount about visual art.
Yeah, but I actually did not think of art, but culture.
Okay.
Because culture includes music and literature and everything that people do, like here around. So I'm not so much, I would take it broader, the expression culture.
Yeah, see, I think, this is sort of a terminological issue, right? So I think sometimes when I use the word art, right, and sometimes with philosopher, it's a very broad, very broad term.
Yes.
It doesn't just mean visual art. I mean broadly, the arts.
So what is your question to me?
All right, so it could be either one, right? What do you think people get out of art? Why do you think people care so much about art? Or what is it that you go to art for?
This is such a difficult question. I don't
Very
know
difficult.
what other people, why they care for art. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I care for literature. My profession is gallery owner. I have a specific program. But I never thought, what is art to me and what is art to the others? Art is just part of the life, like food. We eat, but we do not ask, do you care about food?
Yeah.
This is just part of our life.
But if you think about it, Christine, so every species cares about food, right? But it seems like we're the only species that cares about art.
So you think so?
I think so.
Yes, I think so. I think so too. Yes.
Right?
Animals don't care about art. You're right.
They don't, right?
Except they can eat it. So here we are again.
Yeah.
People cannot eat art, but they can sell art. They can collect art. They like to have big libraries. So they consume art.
Yeah, so why do we do that?
Why? Because we like it. Like food, we need it like food.
Right. I think that's right. I think you're right.
Substantial.
I think, I think you're right. We need it, right? And so the kind of puzzle for me is like, well, why do we need it so much? What is it that we get out of it?
Well, for me, for instance, literature. Before I go to bed, I read at least half an hour. I need this. I leave everything behind. I enter another universe.
Right.
And this is my need, my urgent need.
Yeah.
This is what I get out of literature, reading.
All right, so let's go down that road. So when we open up a book and we read a book, right? I would do the same thing, right? I often read at the end of the day, right?
Yes.
And you're right, it's kind of a way of like me, I don't know, like leaving behind my worries, but also distancing myself from my life. But it's also a way of like, then I spend time like mulling over this world from the point of view of the writer, you know? So I've entered into somebody else's perspective, right? And it's a very empathetic thing a lot of times.
Yeah, sure, because
right?
you only read what you share with this author, with the with his ideas.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, I think I've already told you in email what I'm reading right now. So I'm reading a book by Claude McKay, who was a Jamaican poet, really, at the beginning of the 20th century. And so he sort of tells, this is an autobiographical thing, where he tells all of his life, where he went to Russia during the Russian Revolution because he was fascinated with that. So you see all of this stuff from the point of view of a black man, right? And so he has this conversation with Trotsky where Trotsky talks about black people, right? And so I read this and all of a sudden I'm like looking at the world from a radically different point of view than my narcissistic little limited world, right?
That's it. That's the goal of it, sure.
I think so too.
Yes.
I think that's the goal.
This book does not exist anymore. It was printed in 1937 because I tried to get it.
Oh, did you?
But I ordered this banana book, something. Banana.
Oh, did you? That's what you were talking about.
But that's normal. If you suggest it, of course I'm interested.
Oh, that's so kind of you.
That's not kind. This is a normal exchange. The cook cooks something for me and I pay him. Basta. Finito.
Yeah. Yeah. And so let's talk a little. So that looking at it from somebody else's point of view, right? I think that's, to me, that's what it's all about, right? I think, like all of us were like caught into these bodies, right? And we look out onto the world like that, like with binoculars or something like that, and everything is just from my little body point of view, right? And then all of a sudden,
look at me, how I sit, and look how you sit.
Yeah.
Maybe I do not look like that, and you don't either.
What do you mean?
Yeah, look, the body already tells you how you look into the world, I would say.
Yeah.
And look, you look so, you sit here carefully like a good little girl.
I am a good
and
little
look, and I sit like that, and I'm angry and all that.
Well, didn't Leon say you were a naughty girl?
He said...
Yeah, you see that? See, he was right.
He gave me a little drawing that I am the naughtiest girl in the world. That's right. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's good to be naughty.
Yeah.
I never, ever, somebody could have touched me, and then 20 years later I say me too. Never, because nobody ever would have been allowed to do that.
Yeah.
You see?
I understand, yeah.
Good, okay,
I
that's
understand.
another thing.
That's another thing, yeah. But I think that
Look at you.
I changed.
You changed. Even broader.
I changed.
Look, all the boys. But normally all men sit like that.
Yeah, it's true. On the subway especially.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But
especially
not
on the
with me when I need a seat.
Yeah.
Be sure.
Yeah.
So, but you
Yeah.
want to say something?
So I think that we have this need to experience art because it allows us to understand other people and then to socially organize with other people. But it's kind of a venue through empathizing and also enlarging our view of the world, because we're so easily caught kind of in our own perspective of things. And that art is that opportunity that we have to literally look at the world through somebody else's eyes.
Yes.
Does that sound about right to you?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
But art including music, literature, dance, everything.
Everything, yeah. And so, since you know about kind of both things, sort of literature by your love and then visual art by your profession, which do you think brings us more into the world of other people?
Literature.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that. Can you tell me why?
Why? Because I can do it all on my own, quietly, not being influenced, and rereading world literature after, when you are grown up, opens the doors to the world. Not at school. The school reading the literature is getting you away forever from literature.
What do you mean?
No, we children, at least here in Austria, we all had to read world literature like Trotsky or Goethe or Trotsky.
Because I mentioned
Tolstoy or whomever. And we didn't like it. We were 12 or 13 or 14 years. What should we do with this literature from all over the world? But when you're grown up, you need it. And you have to reread it. Stimmt das, Herr Professor?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Today,
Do you think?
sorry.
Good.
Today I learned a sentence from Chekhov saying, "Art is the pain, not the doctor."
Art is the pain, not the doctor. What does this mean?
It means that art doesn't have to bring solutions.
Ah, so yeah,
It has to describe the problem.
yes. And it can be the problem.
At least that would be my understanding from the sentence.
From the but art as visual art, you mean?
No,
Just art in general.
art in general.
Art in general.
Art is the pain, not the doctor.
But sometimes I think it can bring the solution.
Yes,
But,
the pain can bring the
Yes,
solution.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
the pain.
what is what should art? It is about the question. What does art have to be? And
Art can be pain.
it
Yes.
is a question. Otherwise, it would not make the effort. It would not make worse the effort to write a sentence about it. Huh? So yes, of course, it is a question under discussion.
Yes, for some people it is
Yeah.
perhaps the pain, but for some people it's the solution, because some people can express themselves in paintings and so find their solution in the work of making pictures.
But it's probably always the pain in some ways, right?
Yeah.
Because whenever you look at an artwork, because you are looking at it you are looking at the world through somebody else's point of view. So you're seeing their sort of uncomfortableness in the world, right? That then always comes out in the art. And it's a different kind of uncomfortableness than what you would have, right? And so that process of empathizing with somebody else is a process of feeling the pain of life from a different point of view, right? So it's always going to bring you into somebody else's pain, which then might kind of also bring you into a solution at the same time, because you might be able to resolve that pain, but probably that new pain never quite goes away, right? That, like in this McKay book, right? Like I'm super conscious of the pain of what it felt to be a black man in 1923. In Russia, but you know, I understand it that much compared to the reality, but for that tiny little bit, it's a new tiny little bit of pain for me. You know, like I never even imagined what it was like to stand in front of Trotsky and to have him say something racist to me, you know? But now I have that pain in my head, you know, and it will always be there in my head, you know?
Yeah, but maybe not as pain, just as knowledge, just as as knowledge, as Wissen.
Yeah,
not
I
pain.
think that's right. But I think the knowledge comes through the pain. Don't you think
Yes,
so?
yeah, this is exactly what you were quoting. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. But for me, it's also pleasure.
Yeah, I know. See, a naughty girl. We knew it.
I'm a naughty girl, and I want pleasure, and in all my books I find pleasure, except for the stupid ones which I throw away.
But I think, don't you think the pleasure comes through this kind of resolution in some
Yes,
ways?
sure.
Yeah,
Yes,
right?
Absolutely. And it also depends who says pleasure. Because somebody who is not, let's say, as educated in literature as me, finds pleasure somewhere else, in the books which I throw away. I'm very arrogant now.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Do you think they were
Being
right or
arrogant?
wrong?
Being arrogant?
No. What do you think about the fact that they found pleasure when you did it?
Yeah, because nobody is educating them enough or showing them the books. And unfortunately, I have a young team in my gallery. Nobody is reading books anymore. I bring books. I just read one of Tolstoy's books, Auferstehung. I don't know in English what it is. An amazing book. Mahatma Gandhi was so fascinated by the book, so he's writing and he's working was started with this book by Tolstoy. And I brought the book to the gallery and I said, well, you must all read it, it's amazing. You always talk about communism, capitalism, but read this book to understand.
I know. Reading is, I know.
Yes.
It's, I know.
We will do it. We will do it for sure.
Die Auferstehung. Bitte lesen Sie es. Oder haben Sie es gesehen in der Bibliothek? Ich habe
In
es
English, that might be Resurrection. Is the book called Resurrection? by Tolstoy?
Auferstehen.
Resurrection. Resurrection.
Resurrection? I don't know that Tolstoy.
He is a very rich,
Religious.
er ist natürlich der Fürst und auf einmal merkt er, was in der Welt wirklich los ist.
No, that's funny. Nobody knows this book.
Yeah.
But also, he wrote only two big novels, I think.
No, more than two. I'm sure.
I mean, I've read Tolstoy, of course. I thought, you know.
But
Yeah, I
this
don't
is
know
so
it.
fast.
But I know what you're saying. Reading is diminishing.
But you want to talk.
No, I think you're kind of getting to what I think. So, can I ask you some specific questions about visual art then to relate it to the?
Sure, if
All
you
right. So, I think right that when people stand in front of visual art, they're doing something similar to what they're doing when they're reading a book. That they're getting inside somebody else's head.
I'm not so sure if you can compare them.
Okay, so tell me why. What do you think's different about the two?
Because you can start reading, but if you cannot start, you can start looking at the painting, let's say, but you might walk on to see another painting, to see another sculpture. But in the book you have to stay in the book for some time.
That's true.
And nobody does with art, except that you want to, this particular piece you want to buy it, or like me, I go to a museum all my life long at the Kunsthistorische Museum, for instance, to see one particular painting again and again.
Yeah,
and
that's what
again.
I do. Yeah,
Yes, so,
that's what I do. Yeah.
but with visual art, you look at it, you pass by, I've seen that already, this artist is copying the other one or whatever.
Yeah.
You are not touched by artworks like you were maybe in the 19th century when you saw ihr redet von Waldmüller, weil das Belvedere hat gerade so ein wunderbares Waldmüller-Bild gekriegt with tears in the eyes and so where you are immediately attracted.
Yeah.
But contemporary art does not attract you immediately. If you look at that, you really have to study to know what it is about. You also had to know a lot about old art, that's true.
You mean before you had to know, or now?
No, if you look at this particular, I talk about Waldmüller, yes?
Okay.
This Austrian artist in the mid-19th century. He was the first one to paint little farmer girls, animals with them. It said a farmer, woman, somebody dying and so. And then he was completely lost because they all said, how come that nobody's interested in this kind of paintings? Why should I see a crying child if it is not a Habsburger family,
Yeah.
monarch family?
Yeah.
Yes. So if you look at the painting again, this Waldmüller, you have to know that he had to leave the country because of that. He went to Germany for some time. Wissen Sie das auch noch auswendig vom Kunstgeschichteunterricht? The Waldmüller, and we all nowadays, we all love Waldmüller, what a wonderful painter. He was a revolutionary at that time with his kind of painting. So you also had to know a lot about painting. You always had to know a lot about painting and not just saying, oh, that's nice, oh yes.
Yeah, see, I think that's right. You always had to know a lot about
Yes,
painting.
yes.
But you don't think that that's true with literature. You don't think that one has to know a lot about the history of literature in order to
No.
fall into a book.
No,
I think you might be right about that.
no.
I think you might be right about that. Yeah.
But of course,
Yeah.
the more you read, the more you get selective.
Yeah.
My English, I lost
It's
it.
excellent.
Not excellent.
It is.
No, don't make me angry. So the more it's with everything. The more you know, the more you can enjoy it.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. But that's it. I've never heard anybody say that, you see, but I think you're right. I think that with art, it was always the case that it sort of presupposed a kind of knowledge base, maybe in ways that literature never has. And that seems really sad to me, right?
Why?
Because it sort of automatically then pushes it up into a sort of elitist, sort of non-democratic world. Don't you think?
No.
You don't think
So
so?
give me an example, please.
Well, it's very hard to take somebody to a contemporary art museum who doesn't know anything about contemporary art.
Exactly.
You have to like really educate them about a very long history, and it can't be done in 5 minutes.
But you can't do it like that. Look, I often do it. I take my little grandchildren and another friend of them, and we go to the museum and we look at one piece only. And we talk about this one particular piece. So they are never bored in the museum.
Yeah.
The same with contemporary art. They say, the children say, "Ma, das ist schon, Mimi, was ist das für Blödsinn oder so, so stupid." But then we talk about what can you see and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And
And then they get
you
interested,
see,
yeah.
of course, you have to know a lot to enjoy more and more. But you can't get it.
Yeah.
You can't get
But there's
that
still, I
knowledge.
think there's still the truth of what you said, that it does presuppose a certain amount of knowledge base. That,
Yes,
you know?
yes, but this is with everything. You don't
Yeah.
like, you can't like Kersmacher's dancing, for instance, or whoever danced in the 21st century. If you don't know why they do it, how, and so on.
Yeah.
You always have to know why. Otherwise it's just, oh yeah, I like it. I like the smell of the goulash and so, but I don't have to try it. I just like it like that. No.
Yeah.
you
So
have to
then,
get
so
into
then
it.
visual art kind of ends up being kind of closer than to that view with something like you'd say science, right? You can't just read a science journal without knowing any science in the background. You have to know some science,
Absolutely.
right? But still, to hark back on this, because I thought this was an important point, you can open up a book though, and fall into a novel without having to know all of what came before.
Yeah, that's right. But it depends again on the novel.
It's true.
Is
James
it-
Joyce wouldn't allow that.
Yes.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
and there are just
Yeah.
cheap novels and so on.
Yeah.
We have to be much more exact. in
Yeah, I
this.
think you're right. I think you're right.
Ah, James Joyce.
I said James Joyce,
I'm
right?
just. I'm not sure if I can say that. What time is it now?
5:30.
Oh, it's already today, 37 years ago, my daughter was born. And I was just reading the Dubliners, and then the doctor said, "Christine, can you please put the book away because it's time
To do it.
to do it."
Yeah.
And then afterwards, he said he has never, because I said, "So give me my book again."
I'm
And he
done.
said he can't. Even now when I meet him, he says, "I can't believe." Yes, but of course. You
You were
just want
absorbed
to
in the
say,
book.
Yes.
Right, this
I
little
was-
birth that
I
came
had
in
to-
between the
Yes,
pages.
exactly.
Yes, yes. Did you name her James Joyce?
No, but I gave her a beautiful name, Elsa, but only with the idea that she has to do her own König, sie muss ihr Königreich selber verwalten. Die Elsa von Lohengrin, the opera by
Yeah,
Wagner,
yeah.
she was obliged that the prince or somebody would help her to reign.
Yeah.
Heißt das Reich verwalten?
Rule her own country.
To rule her own country. So she got the name Elsa in order to
To do that.
do it. And then Elsa, Helene, die schöne Helena,
Uh-huh.
And then the last name, Elsa Helene. Wie heißt der letzte Name? Elsa Helene. So, am I crazy?
You have to remember.
Yes, sure. Elsa Helene. But I know the story. What's the matter with me? Ah, Lenore, of course. Lenore. And there is this wonderful poetry by Edgar Allan Poe, Lenore. This
Oh
poem.
yeah, I know that poem.
What is it about? What
She's
is it
crying.
about?
There's tears in it.
No, she's dead. She
Oh, I
died.
remember this. There
And
was
then-
sadness. Yeah.
And then he was sitting in his room and always thinking and saying, "Will I never see you again?
Oh yeah, he
Will
was
I
the
never
one
see you
crying.
again?"
He was one. Yeah, yeah.
And what was the answer?
I don't remember.
There was a pigeon in a corner, and it was saying,
Nevermore. That's right. I remember
Nevermore.
that now. Right. Yeah.
And there is an
Yeah.
old rule here in the German-speaking countries that the third name, at least one name of the children's name, must have a tragedy in it.
Really?
Yes. To satisfy also the bad witches, the bad, how do you say?
Spirits.
The
Yeah.
bad spirits.
Really?
So this is her,
Her bad name?
no, her sad name.
Oh, sad. All right. Yeah.
Elsa Helene Lenore, yeah.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. That's a nice.
And it's exactly 37 years ago. And I went there with my friend. She helped. She did all that because I was not interested how to read and all that. She did it, and then I didn't know it was coming already. So we were not dressed properly. We had our
Regular. Yeah.
and then we said to the doctor, so now we need a taxi to go home. He agreed, but what was his Krankenschwester?
Nurse.
The
Nurse.
nurses,
Yeah,
two nurses said to each other, "Okay, call the taxi for the two ladies in black." So very, very, very
Disapproving.
disapproving.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Excuse me for this interruption. It was about,
No, it was that's
Lenore.
good. It was about yeah.
and it's 37 years exactly now, 1 o'clock.
Congratulations.
5 minutes after 1 o'clock.
That's nice.
And
So-
Nancy Spiro loved my daughter Elsa because Elsa was in New York for a year as a young girl.
Yeah.
And she was always welcome and always they were looking after her. And so
On LaGuardia Street.
Yes, and no, place, LaGuardia Place.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
LaGuardia Place.
Yeah. I think it was 5:30, as I remember. I can't remember the number, but I think that was it. I think, yeah, I can't remember, yeah. All right, so can I circle back around to sort of the beginning here? Because I'm now like fascinated with this idea that you presented that literature is a easy door to open, more than the other arts. Would you say the same was true of music? Do you think music is
No, you
easy?
also have to understand and learn music. Otherwise, you stay with the. And, well, I don't know which. I have no expression for it. But to understand Mozart, you cannot say, "Oh, I love Mozart." You really have to learn it.
Yeah, I think so too. Right, so kind of on a hierarchy, right? If we sort of do a hierarchy of the arts, right? The one that is the most accessible and just opens the door easily.
Opens the doors.
Opens the
Exactly.
doors. Maybe I would say is literature.
Yes.
Right?
No, and also can also be music, because I realized
Some
it was
kind,
the
yeah.
children when I.
That's right. That's easy for children. Yeah. That's true. But then you're right. There's other kinds of music that do require quite a bit of, I don't know what would the word be, sophistication. Is that a bad word for it? Knowledge.
No.
Sophistication is
No,
not a
just
bad word.
Training
your ear.
Training the
Yeah,
ear, talking about with other
Yeah.
people and so on.
Yeah.
Or of course, for the children, was der Bruno jetzt gern wegen diese von der Mozart-Oper? Was die Wörter sind, was
Also
ich
die
hörte.
Königin der Nacht.
The Königin, the Queen of the Night with Mozart's opera.
Uh-huh.
And of course the children, they love it. And they learn Mozart. And they learn the opera.
Yeah.
when they hear that and they hear the story. So you really have to tell them the stories. Storytelling is very important.
Yeah.
In music, for literature, for art, telling, talking about.
So telling a story, we don't, in most contemporary art, maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe I'm wrong about what I was just going to say. Tell me. I was thinking in most contemporary art there isn't a lot of narrative or storytelling.
No, it's not. Not at all. But how does this artist come to the point that he paints or works like that?
Yeah.
This
So
is
there's the story. That's
This
just
is
what
the
I was
story.
thinking. That's why I said I think I'm
That's
wrong in
the
this
story.
because there's a storytelling, but it's not.
No.
It's not a kind of narrative in the old-fashioned way,
No.
right? But it is a let me go down this journey with you kind of story, right? Because if it's how did the artist come to do this, right? What is the artist doing with this? Is a kind of little story that's behind it, right?
No, even more, maybe. For instance, young artists who want to start working with me, I check them, or how do you say it? Ich prüfe sie. I want to know, where do you come from in thinking, in working, and where can you think that you add a little piece in art history? Because actually everything is done already. And if he says, no, it's all my own invention, I did it all, I don't mind the history, then he gets a coffee and can go home again.
So
It's important that they all know what has been before.
right. Because, right, now I think, tell me if you disagree, I think it's because, how do I do this? Even though individually what we do when we look at art is to feel a little bit of pain and to see the world through somebody else's eyes, we do that because we're building together this kind of edifice of sort of social knowledge, social fact, as it were. And so the necessity of knowing what comes before you is a necessity because you have to know how you're adding to that big edifice.
When you are so friendly, you are talking in a friendly way, but it is what you say. I just say study, and you say.
But I was right, huh?
Sure, you are.
Yeah. So I think, to go all the way back to the beginning again, the point that we do in art, even though you're individually entering these kinds of worlds in like literature, what we're doing in a bigger way, right, all with visual art too, is making something as a social unit. So I think the reason that humans like art in the way that dogs don't is because we build these incredibly complex social structures, and that art is a kind of knowledge that we build up together, that we kind of know the rules and regulations between one another. And so we're able to sort of socialize with one another, and part of that socialization is being able to empathize with one another. So I think art has that really important function of teaching us how to empathize, because we need to empathize with one another in order to build the social structures that we built. Was that plausible?
You are a philosopher.
But you know it from the ground.
No, you know it from the ground, and you find the right words. I'm just talking particularly this or that.
Yeah.
Or that.
But you want to say no to me?
I never put it together.
But you want to say no to me?
No, yes to you.
Okay.
But I just said I wouldn't be able to, but I've never studied philosophy. I could never make a world out of it.
But does it make sense?
It makes sense for you, but I'm not a philosophy reader at all.
Yeah.
Neither autobiographies. I only want fiction.
You only want fiction. I respect that. I think that's about right. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Christine, for
Thank
coming.
you
It was really fun.
Thank you.
For dragging you through all this, right?
Maybe I was not really able to express myself properly.
No, I think you were.
But we could do it in German. We could continue it in German. Herr Professor.
Schwieriges Thema, gell? Ich finde auch, wenn man dann so das in
Nein,
der
eben.
Sprache ausdrücken kann.
Nein, das muss man in der Muttersprache machen. Ja.